Welcome back to another episode of Twisted Metal Companion. You guys, this is kind of trying to remember the order, but this is going to be the first interview with a cast member, right? Post strike. We've been interviewing some people behind the camera, but wanted to get somebody in front of, and I got an opportunity to meet this gentleman. We got Tahj A. Vaughans joining us, who plays Mike from Twisted Metal. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely. I don't think I properly introduced ourselves too, but for the people that are tuning in for the first time, I'm Peter. Tyler on the other side of me here. So Taj, after the strike, I don't know what it was like, but the show comes out, there's the writer strike and then the actor strike, but what was the reception from like friends and family like when the show dropped and kind of what you going through during that period? Well, what was it like?
So as far as the reception of the show, it was great. Of course, the strike had its impact, of course, you know what I mean, but it was really shocking how well it was taken because it's a lot, it's heavy on special effects, you know what I mean, heavy on the coloring and just a lot of elements that come into play in post, right? So just to see it all come together was amazing. Like they hit the nail on the head, they kept the dark humor, you know what I mean? And but they went from it being like a grungy, dark game because it's like a super dark game. I literally had to turn up the brightness on the TV to see what's going on in the game. Um, but they made it, you know, almost like satirical, and it's so consistent and so well done. So the family and friends love it. My braider, I was in the middle. I told you I was in the middle of getting my hair braided. I stopped to come here to my family barbershop, Heritage Barbershop here in Montgomery, Alabama, and she turned on the show to watch it and show other clients that were in the room at the time. People have been very supportive. They love the humor. It's a very like each cast member kind of brings a different audience. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy how it all just blends together. As far as the strike, of course, the strike was a crazy time. The strike was a crazy time, but I was fortunate to be able to work on a YouTube and Facebook, very popular YouTube and Facebook series, the Country Wayne skits. If y'all haven't seen it, I guarantee y'all you will not be sorry if you check it out. It's short form content, 3 to 6 minutes, and it is hilarious. But it's quite literally an internet soap opera. We have comedy, drama, real life situations, comedic situations. It's amazing. So to be able to do that was really a big blessing for me during the strike period. But as far as industry work, it was slow. It was pretty much non-existent for a while. So that's crazy. It's nice to be back to auditioning now.
Yeah. Oh, and also congrats on being greenlit for a season two. Like hopefully, we get to see the return of Mike and Stu at that, since the last time we see those two, we don't know what's
It's
gonna happen.
it's quite ambiguous. Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. But yes,
I would say so.
congratulations to the whole cast and crew on season two, on being cleared for season two. I can't wait to see it, and I'm just, I am grateful to be a part of such of a great show.
Yeah. So you mentioned Alabama just a bit ago. Let's take it all the way
Yes,
back.
all the way back.
Growing up in Alabama, what's your earliest memory of kind of catching the acting bug?
Mm. So I had a cousin, rest in peace, he passed, but his name was Vandarian Dubose. He was a phenomenal actor. He mostly did theater. He did a lot of work he did a lot of work with Auburn University Montgomery, and his brother is a phenomenal, renowned dancer that works with the Alabama Shakespeare Festival and companies in Chicago and everywhere. And so that was my first taste of seeing people perform and become something else. And it was quite literally phenomenal. I was now as a child, I was always pushed in the direction of like, being a doctor, or, a more, I guess what you might say, a more typical field, you know what I mean? Which is guaranteed money, but I've always been a creative. I've always been super imaginative. I've always loved to exercise my artistic muscles. So when I saw them perform for the first time. Like I remember going to Van's plays, and his brother Foy Dubose, going to see him. I remember going on a school field trip to see the Nutcracker, and he was one of the lead dancers in the Nutcracker. And that was just amazing to see someone that was so close to me, and that I eat dinner with, I go to the mall with. You know what I mean? I ride in the backseat of their car. You know what I mean? And see them perform at such a grand scale, because they were very, very, very powerful performers. You know what I mean? So that was my first taste of the acting bug. Then I was a movie kid. I was a big, big movie kid. If I couldn't tell you the title of the movie, I could quote the whole thing to you. You know what I mean? And act it out. So that was really something that was in my spirit that kind of reawoken in college, circa 2012.
What was those movies, whether you knew the titles or not, were there any influences or inspirations in terms of acting? Was there somebody that you're like, you know what, I want to kind of be like that person?
Absolutely. Lawrence Fishburne, James Earl Jones, Eddie Murphy, Felicia Rashad, I don't want to misquote anybody's name. Um, Bringing Steve Martin, Robin Williams, people that really poured their entire heart and spirit into certain roles, which is why I was so happy to be able to perform in a show like Twisted Metal, because it was something I had tackled a genre like that only really in theater. So, in film, it was something new to me, the consistent comedy, the dark humor, just the placement of things. And I really wanted to go for that challenge. You know what I mean? So I was very grateful to be able to bring that over. When I was a child, I remember in first or second grade, uh they passed out worksheets. They asked the kids what they want to be when they grow up, and if they know any people that are in that field. And kids are putting down firefighter, astronaut, lawyer, doctor. And I said I wanted to be a veterinarian. And on the line where they asked, did I know any veterinarians? I said yes, and they had who, and I put Dr. Doolittle. It was Eddie Murphy. You know what I mean? So like that was I think that was my bug, kind of like trying to take flight a little bit back then.
Yeah, I like that. All those people that you named, they all have a range, and the one that made me kind of go, oh, that's interesting, was when you said Steve Martin. I go, well, I've actually seen him do dramatic, and one of my
Yes.
favorite movies is like early '90s called Leap of Faith, where he's a con man, like he's supposed
Mm.
to be this. Um, Tyler, are you familiar with the movie Leap of Faith?
No.
He- I don't know if he was like pretending to be a pastor or something, but one of those like traveling groups of people, and they put up the cross and they come out and they read the audience, whatever. And he's being fed certain things about certain people. So he'll call somebody up, but there's a kid who can't walk, and he just wants to walk again. But it's unlike any other Steve Martin role that I've seen him do, and so
Mm.
it's really cool to see like people that you're like you think they're mostly known for comedy, but kind of forget about some of those gems, where they've done some really dramatic stuff.
Go really grounded. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
amazing to see.
I mean, obviously Robin Williams has done a lot of dramatic stuff as well. So
Hmm. Jim
yeah, yeah.
Carrey.
Jim
Jim
Carrey.
Carrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the number 23. I know a lot of people don't, but I, I think it's a
Great.
I've seen that movie a lot for how low a lot of people's opinion of it is. It's fun. You get to see Jim Carrey play a saxophone in the rain.
Yeah. Another favorite of mine, man, who I really have always aspired to build a career similar to. Of course, I want to put my own spin on it and take it as far as I can take it. But Jamie Foxx, I grew up watching the Jamie Foxx show and just seeing someone who could sing, dance, and act. You know, do comedy, sketch comedy, and scripted comedy. You know what I mean, and also do dramatics. You know, when I saw him come out with Ray, you know, that was like, what? This is Jamie King from the Jamie Foxx show. What? You know what I mean? And I like how you mentioned that with Steve Martin, you know, and Jim Carrey. I think it's quite amazing when an actor whose wheelhouse you think it's one thing, but then they completely switch it up. Like Twisted Metal, for me, now there will be other opportunities where, you know, along my career where I feel, you know, I will dive even deeper. But Twisted Metal for me was the complete opposite of P Valley, because P Valley I was this grungy thug of a guy who was, you know, misogynistic, and you know, I got what I had coming to me for my ways. But Twisted Metal, even though I was still a snake of a guy, you know, it was a lot more comical. You know, it was a lot more comical. So I love seeing those things, and I hope I get to tackle, you know, range like that more often.
Yeah, I think the opportunities will come. Do you have a favorite Jamie Foxx movie?
Uh, let's see. Well, of course, you got Ray. I don't know if you guys saw They Clone Tyrone recently. That's one of my most recent favorites.
Ooh, I
Uh,
haven't. I
yeah,
haven't watched it yet.
check it out. It's a great movie. They Clone Tyrone. What else? What is
Talking about
another
like
Jamie?
playing against type. I like Jamie Foxx in Law Abiding Citizen.
Law Abiding
Mm.
Citizen. Yeah, that's a good one.
He's
That's another good one.
he's an
Uh,
asshole.
Yeah.
Miami Vice is one of my favorites with him.
Yes. Yes,
That's
yes,
one I
yes, yes.
missed.
You took that one back. You took that one back. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
I
I
remember watching that with my granddad for
see
sure.
when we met, like I learned that you had an old soul, but you know we're at least a decade apart, and uh, my earliest memory of Jamie Foxx was all the way back to Living Color.
In
You
Living
know,
Color, yes.
yeah, you know, you were talking about Jim Carrey, but you know, he played was it Lawanda? Right? So there
Wanda.
was yeah,
Yep.
oh Wanda. Okay. So yeah, so there was that character, but the movie Booty Call I just saw recently in this
Booty Call.
one uh it's a TikTok video, and it was a DJ who does like these transitions with R&B songs, but he had the movie Booty Call playing. And so it was like Jamie Foxx and Tommy Davidson playing footsies under the table.
Yeah.
It's an interesting
Vivica
one.
Fox. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
he's
was a
come a
funny
long way.
scene.
Yeah, in terms of like the you know the types of movies, but I can use a Jamie Foxx comedy. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Uh, so Blue Beetle, that's also something that came out during a time you were unable to promote, you know, anything new, past, present. So you had a small bit in there. How did you land that role?
Well, I have a awesome group of agents. The agency I'm with is People Store Talent in Atlanta. You know, just the typical way it crossed their desk. They asked for me to audition. I auditioned, and they liked my performance. So, um, it was an honor to have a cameo in a movie like that. You know, because it was I know that, you know, you see how grand it is on the screen and all the work that goes into it, but being on that set was amazing. I've never been on a set. I think like beside like Twisted Metal and that I think are the biggest sets that I've probably been on. As far as, you know, just the things that are going on. There's a lot of stunt work. You know what I mean? There are anvils being dropped on Bentleys. You know what I mean? Like you know, there's a bus that's, you know, cut in half that people are, you know, it's automatic, but they break it apart, and people are sitting on each side, and just seeing it all come together, and then after post seeing it on screen is just mind-boggling. It was quite amazing, quite amazing.
It's probably like being on one of the rides at Universal Studios, huh?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about like some of the cast members and how you guys been in like superhero projects. You know, we had you know, just speaking with Jared, he was in the movie Venom, but you know,
Hmm.
his screen partner, Thomas Hayden Church, was Sandman in
Yeah.
Spider-Man. You got Anthony, who's the Falcon.
Yes.
right? So and then
Captain America
you're in the
now.
DC movie.
New Captain
Oh,
America. Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, right, yeah, right, yeah. So yeah, there's a few of you, and so yeah, that's I guess I kind of forget that a lot of Marvel stuff filmed in Atlanta too, at least in that region.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So with Twisted Metal, how does that come across your lap, and how familiar with you with the games? I know you said a friend of yours. Wait, did you? No, no, I'm mixing up stories now. Were you familiar
You
with
are.
the games?
Yes, yes. So I was a big gamer growing up, huge gamer. So I did not own Twisted Metal. Um I had a lot of PlayStation games, but I did not own Twisted Metal specifically. I would play that one because I had my parents got a little strict, so I would play that one and GTA and things of that nature, like over my god brother's house or my cousin's house and stuff like that. But I did get to play it, I just didn't own it. Once I landed the show, I actually went back and I've started buying the games, and I still have my retro systems. So I started buying the games. I think I have one, two, Black, Small World, um, and I think those are the only ones that I have so far. But I'm still collecting. Still
Black is probably the
collecting.
important one, right? Because that's kind of the one that they base some of those characters off of, or at least those
Mm-hmm,
versions of from Black.
hmm
Tyler,
Hmm?
did you have anything about Mike? Or I guess well maybe we can start about the auditioning process. What do you remember like the scenes? What scenes you had to read for?
So the initial scene, where me and Mike Mitchell, we come in and we're soaking in the in the brew,
Right.
which was a fun. It
Bathtubs.
was fun to shoot. And Mike got sprinkled with lemon pepper. It was I know
And
that
asked
was
if it
part
was
of.
real lemon pepper.
Yeah. It was hilarious to see. Um, and we were soaked. You should have seen our chairs, our cast chairs during those scenes. I have pictures in my phone. They were just drenched. It just looked like a sludge monster was sitting in it. But we had a great time, man, and that was one of the scenes I remember for sure that I auditioned with. Um, in the audition, I I imagined it in a way where it was very eccentric, it was crazy. They were cannibals and we were, but according to the game, I was thinking much darker. You know what I mean? I was thinking like much darker. But when we were on set, when I tell you we had a time, it's still the nature of what's going on is definitely dark and morbid, but the way that they were able to depict it was just amazing to me. Like they made it into a hilarious scene, and the writing was also very genius. It played a huge part in that.
You're probably like reading that, like how's that even going to translate to screen?
Yeah,
Like some of that stuff. But something you mentioned earlier, like I just kind of it made me think about something else. You mentioned like the cast, being diverse, but like the music as well. It's not
yeah,
just, even though the theme and the composers, Zach and Leo, that music is very uh maybe not grunge isn't the right word, but the metal
yeah,
sound, but the pop songs that are thrown in there, you got Oasis and Cisco of all people,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
just that variety. I think anybody that can watch it and be like, I remember that song,
Yes, yes. It pulls everybody in.
Mhm.
it
It
does.
really does.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So can you talk about like the meeting Mike Mitchell, aka Mitch, right? Is that what he goes by?
Mitch.
So can you talk about meeting him? Because this is the guy where your characters go back like a really
Mhm.
long time. Um, how did you guys kind of form like the bond, the chemistry, and did that anything that you guys did that would help your on-screen chemistry?
Well, first of all, shout out to Mike. Like shout out to him because he is a great guy. Shout out to his podcast, Doughboys podcast as well. Like he's great. Very easy to get along with. We did meet up outside of set. We went out to some bars and had some times. You know what I mean? Chill with each other for a bit. And on set, we also we just kept cracking jokes, getting together and just having a good time, talking, sharing conversation. I feel like I got to know him a good bit while we were on set. We were working on it all summer, you know what I mean? So we got to spend a lot of time together. And, I think that they picked the perfect guy for the role. And I'm glad that they did because I wouldn't have traded him for anybody else. He just very easy to get along with, a great actor, very funny, effortlessly funny. Like he's funny even when he's not trying to be. So um we clicked, man. We really did click. He was cool. Now if at first glance I was thinking, like he's a lot bigger than me, you know what I'm saying? Like he's tall, he's a tall guy, you know what I mean? Like I was like, they're gonna think I'm a kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I think that it works. It's kind of like the pinky and the brain thing, you know what I mean? Like, and it was I forgot the reference that they use in the audition, but we actually in the callback we got to do the scene together. And when we did it together, I felt it, and I think he did too, and it just translated there on and just got deeper, and we got it more and more in sync. Now we text quite often.
Yeah, I did not remember those characters from the video games. I remembered very little, if I'm being
Uh,
honest. And so when you and I met before the show came out, you couldn't tell me anything, right? Like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
you signed the NDA, you can't tell me anything. And so I have no idea what to expect. But all I knew is that these two characters are, side by side all the time. So to
Mhm.
see you guys separated, one kind of being more of an opportunist, and the other one is like um just trying to go along and survive. It was very
Yeah.
interesting to kind of break that dynamic, have you guys go kind of on different paths for a little bit and making Stu
Mhm.
very sympathetic. I was really blown away by that because that's not what I was expecting at all.
Yeah. It was fun, man. It was cool, and I think he handled it very well. The arc of both characters, I think, is something to be proud of because he went from somebody that didn't really have his own voice to realizing that he had something of value to say and his thoughts were valid. So he got his backbone throughout the show. And me, um, my character Mike, he was more so, you know, he had too much. He, I don't want to say he had too much back, but he was really spineless. But but at the same and on the same token, he had too much to say. He was just like you said, an opportunist. You know what I mean? He wasn't really just about himself. Now, Stu was his friend, yes, but he's his friend because he can condescend and he can control him. So to see Mike lose control and over the arc of the show realize, okay, maybe I don't have all of the best ideas. Maybe you can drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was fun to do. And in the game, I remember that they were everybody gets a wish. You know what I mean? And they wanted to fly.
Right.
And so Calypso says, all right, you can fly. And at the end, when you beat the game, he sends them off and they float for a little bit and then they fly to the ground, So I think it's cool because it kind of ended on that same note in a way, you know what I mean? It's ambiguous, but it kind of, you know what I mean? Like we thought we found our Shangri-La and
Yeah.
here comes Sweet Tooth. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to remember some of the earlier scenes. Can you share what about the taser scene when you got to tase both Quiet and John Doe? Can you
uh,
kind of talk us through that sequence?
well, Stephanie Beatrice and Anthony Mackie are both hilarious. There's a lot of comedy that you guys did not get to see. So tasting them it was fun. The whole idea of it was mind-boggling, and have to stay in character. Of course, they did not make it easy. They did not make it easy. There was a lot of stuff that they were doing, and just to keep the set lively and just to keep the humor light and to keep that vibe that you all got to enjoy. That they did. It was an amazing experience. It was fun.
Can you talk about like maybe the scene where Mike finds that Stu escaped or helped Quiet and John Doe escape?
Ah, the betrayal.
The betrayal. Yeah.
Like I'm trying to make sure we're good. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I'm sticking up for you. I'm like sticking my neck out for you, man. And you're gonna go and do this. You
Mm.
know, so um, in that scene, I think that was the turning point for their friendship. Really, that's when, Mike figured out that he couldn't control Stu. You know what I mean? He couldn't. So if I can't control you, fine, you're on your own, but you're an enemy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm with these guys, you're with those guys. So completely turned his back on him. It was it was every scene that we shot was hilarious behind the scenes. It's just a lot y'all didn't see, but um it was in the grand scheme of things, it's sad that Mike would do that to his friend because Stu would never betray Mike. He would never betray Mike ever. But honestly, Stu was the brave one. Mike was the coward. You know what I mean? Like he was afraid to die. So he was so afraid to have to fend for himself that he would go and dance with wolves, instead of, go over here with the few and the problem, the few, you know what I mean? So that scene was actually really really mentally, it had to be a turn point. So it was really fun. Seeing having to having to throw the zip ties on him, and he's just like, oh, he's waking up. Oh my god, what? And I was like, you messed up, man.
Because
I gotta choose me.
Stu is probably somebody that Mike would invite to the cookouts, right? So like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's the
yeah. That's my
homie,
boy.
right? So
That's my boy. That's my boy. That's my boy.
yeah, yeah, that adds another layer there. Um, do you remember anything from filming the sequence with Jared who plays Agent Shepard and um Mitch who plays Stu, like when you guys are kind of going through the Evelyn?
Oh my God, Jared. So that was our me and Jared laugh about that scene. We enjoyed that one because we got to really just kind of let loose and go completely theatrical on that, where he comes in and he's like, I like how you tased her. And he mimics the tasing or whatever. And this whole zapping thing, the banter with Stu in the car, and trying to tell him the story like of what I heard about Agent Stone, Um, it was a lot of moving parts, but they were fun, and they're both great guys. Jared is a great guy. Very, he has a great stories to tell, great energy, very intelligent, and just to be able to, we know who we are in real life, but to be able to be on set and just to let loose and be free, what I mean, let all that other stuff go and just kind of be, free. That was fun. You get to see the artistry in these people, and so it was fun. It was fun.
Do you remember any sequences where you might have improvised something or was just about everything that Mike had to say was on script or on paper?
Oh man, there was a lot of improvisation. We definitely hit everything in the script, but we definitely added some things and added some tones and undertones, to a lot of it. It's hard to even pick one. Um, when we were interrogating the Stephanie Beatrice and Anthony Mackie, that whole montage, there were we hit everything in the script, like I said, but there was a lot of improvisational comedy as well on all ends, coming from all four of us. That was just fun because it's like you're tossing back and forth. That's what we learn to do as actors. We toss back and forth. So when you get to a place to where they trust you with the dialogue to accomplish the message that's coming across and the origin of the story, where we're beginning, where we're going, where we end up, and along the way, kind of like make your stops. You know what I mean? Like it's always fun. It's always fun. It's very rewarding.
Is there anything you remember from the DMV scene?
From the DMVs. So
Because
there
that's
was,
also
and
that's one of the early images of you as well. Like in,
yeah,
you know, seeing you in uniform with the gun and all that. So
yeah.
I'm,
Well,
I'm
we
sure
were
you must have
walking
got a
them
lot
to
of text
walking
messages
them to
that
the
day
to the
too.
red line. Yeah.
Yeah.
um. So there was something I'm not sure. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but excuse me. Shout out to
Hmm.
casting and this actress. There's a lady at the I can't remember her name at this time, so forgive me, please, love, if you are watching this or listening to this. But you know who you are, and you guys will know who she is as well. There is a lady who is basically the clerk in the DMV area where we're walking them to the red line, and her mannerisms, her tone, the speed of her speech, you know, was perfect. It was perfect, and she was the one like calling people up, letting them know, like organizing everything. She was the clerk. That was She was phenomenal. She was so good. We were all on set talking about like, yo, she's perfect. Like her voice, everything. She came ready. So that was I want to give her flowers because that it helped set the tone and the vibe for all of us. Um, Also, when Anthony Mackie and Stephanie Beatrice are sitting waiting on their number to be called, and they hear the screaming and all, you know what I mean? And I think Jared, and maybe another guard or two come in, and Mike comes in too. That was fun to shoot as well because we really got to play with the words and the dialogue there too. Because usually when we did it the most, or when we did it the most, was usually when we were trying to pick at them. When it was our character's job to really like just kind of stab at them real quick, and kind of gut check them with our words. We would have fun. We would just go for it.
As we get ready to wrap up, I think I have maybe just a couple more questions. Most of them is really like the last couple of episodes where we get into the vehicular combat.
Mm.
Um, so like in the I'm assuming most of that you guys were like in the vehicle and there's screen, especially when you guys are talking to like John Doe and Quiet in the other vehicle and you're with Sweet Tooth.
So towards the end, there were certain parts of it where we did use green screen and we were in studio. But like the ending scene where we were riding in Sweet Tooth's truck, and Mike ends up actually shooting him, and we jump out. You know, that was fun because we got to do our own stunts. It was so fun. We got to jump out of the back of the truck, do our tuck and roll, and our hands are scarred up. And Mike has an unfortunate accident, and we he scratches himself up pretty badly. And Stu has an unfortunate accident. I mean to say he scratches himself up worse than Mike did. My hands were just messed up, but Stu, he hurt himself. That was fun to do because we got to play with the dialogue. They just like told us the energy that they wanted. Of course, there was dialogue in the script, but they allowed us to add in some of our own verbiage for the pain and stuff. Uh, that was fun. Just seeing all of that happen, and filming with Anthony Mackie and Stephanie Beatrice riding up beside the ice cream truck, and sharing that dialogue with them, the way that they cut it, it was it was very, very fun. It was an experience that I will never forget.
Yeah. Oh, do you remember anything about the makeup process? You know, applying the makeup on you? Because I think like the
Oh,
reveal of Mike and Stu in the clown makeup, the Juggalos or whatever, it was
oh
actually pretty
yeah,
comical.
yeah. They did very good. Man, it was a good time. Shout out to the makeup department and the hair department. Everything was really on point for the occasion. They everything that they did really fed the characters. We got it just helped us play, man. It was fun. The clown makeup, it didn't take long, of course, because it's supposed to look like Sweet Tooth did. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Oh,
it's
okay.
not like you're sitting in a chair for hours, but at the same time, everything that they did had a purpose, and it really, really, really worked for the project.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at the makeup now, knowing that it was supposed to be Sweet Tooth that had done that.
Yeah.
Because I that didn't even occur to me. It's just the idea of you guys in that makeup was comical in itself, but now
Yeah.
the idea that Sweet Tooth applied the makeup
Sweet
while
Tooth
you
put
guys are
that
sitting
makeup
there
on us.
willingly.
Just sitting very still so he does
Yeah.
not mess up.
Yeah, that's even
Sweet Tooth
funnier
is an
actually.
artist. Sweet
Yeah,
Tooth is an artist.
we saw his headshot. That's like
Right.
another.
Yes.
Um,
Shout out to Samoa Joe. He was amazing.
yeah,
He's a great
Mhm.
guy. He like for Sweet Tooth to be who he is, Joe is really he is a kind-hearted, really, really cool, down-to-earth guy. He has some very interesting views on life that we share, and also just things about his personality. He's the guy that you want around. You know what I mean? Very easy to work with. Everybody in the cast really had great energy. You know what I mean? Great energy. And it was just helped for it to be a very cohesive set.
yeah. I'm interested to know if we'll ever get any of the footage of like him in his own Sweet Tooth voice, because we keep hearing about it,
He
and
had a great one. It
that's
was
what everyone
phenomenal. Yeah,
says.
like his voice was amazing. Yeah, yeah. And shout out to Will Arnett too. His voice was amazing as well. Not taking anything from him. But I do wish that you guys there was some type of hopefully, I would we don't do DVDs anymore since
I,
COVID, but
I was just gonna say that we've lost
yeah,
DVD extras and you
yeah,
can't just switch
because
to the other audio track.
yeah, we used to have that, man. Y'all might have gotten to see it, but just know that there's a reason that you're hearing the same thing from everyone. He did have a very great voice for Sweet Tooth. It
Yeah,
did fed the scenes, it fed the acting as well.
I know. AMJ's got some stuff. He's got. Come on, you give some to the fans. Let's see a
Yeah.
little bit of that Samoa Joe.
Come on, Joe.
Now, Taj, anything you want to promote? And also, like, if you welcome the interactions, where can people find you on social media?
Okay, so I'll start with the social media. You can find me on it's my first and last name. Listen up, it's long. So it's TAHJ underscore A underscore VAUGHANS. Tahj underscore A underscore Vaughans. You'll find me on Instagram. You'll find me on TikTok. You'll find me on Twitter. Um, Facebook, Tahj Vaughans. You can find some of my most recent work with P Valley, of course, Twisted Metal, the Country Wayne skits on Facebook and YouTube. Type in Country Wayne, that's country with a K. That is a completely different character than Mike. He's more along the lines of my P Valley character, but different. He's on a different level of the game. So that you guys can really, really enjoy because you can watch it when you're on a break at work. You can watch it in your car. You know what I mean? You can watch it in between when you're on commercial break, watching your favorite shows. 3 to 6 minute content. It's like a soap opera. It is a roller coaster that never stops changing directions. And you, right when you think that you know where it's going to go, it doesn't. It goes a completely different way. So shout out to Mike Gould, Mike Bliss, the producer. He's a great guy. My entertainment company is making a move to Georgia now. I actually moved to Georgia on the 30th of this month. So look out for Low V Entertainment. That is my company. My dad's nickname growing up was Low V. His name was Carlos Vaughans. His friends called him Low V, and he was very well known for putting love in everything that he did. Very great guy. So that is our motto. We put everything in what we do. We put our love in everything that we do. You know what I mean? So our everything into it. So the world needs love. The world needs love like the world needs Low V. You can find us on Instagram at lo.v_entertainment. Follow us. You'll see a lot of great things coming. We're about to have a table read soon. We have a very cool short film that we'll be filming this year. Podcast on the way. A lot of great things happening. And also, we have a photography sector of the company also launching soon. So a lot of great things happening in 2024. Y'all thought the strike you thought it stopped us. It just put us in the background. We were just buffering. It was time to go. So just keep a lookout for us. Follow us on social media. And yeah,